guys, thanks for tuning in for another weekly wrap-up of the comics/trades that I've read for the week. Yeah, you can see in the background I've got a different background, like hanging up like comic book posters, because I love comics. If you've been watching my channel, if you've been subscribed to me for a long time, I read a lot of comics. So yeah, I think that that's what I'm going to do. I think it's more entertaining, looks better for a background anyways. Yeah, so that's just one of the few changes I plan on doing for the summer. I might make an update video talking about the things I plan on doing with my channel and with my life for the summer. So yeah, but let's get on with this wrap up. First up, I read Animal Man Volume 2. This is Animal vs. Man, and this is written by Jeff Lemire. And this is a Jeff Lemire book. I mean, I read a couple of Lemire books where I was just like, wow, that doesn't really seem like Jeff Lemire's writing. But here's one that's just like his writing style. Buddy Baker, who is the Animal Man, he's the protector of the red, whereas Swamp Thing is the protector of the green, and of course there's the Rot, which is Anton Arcane and the Arcane family or whatever. Well, anyways, this is going back into that storyline that I'm really enjoying this storyline. I love the fact that it crosses over into so many different books. It makes it fascinating. And I have to admit that I've never really read Animal Man before I read the New 52, so I'm really enjoying this. I think Animal Man is a pretty cool guy. I enjoyed this book, and the artwork is really kind of super creepy, but it's still kind of cool, you know. I don't want to get into too much about the story because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I'll just say the basic concept of it is there's the red, the green, and the Rot. And the red is like flesh, and the green is the plants. And the Rot, of course, is death and decay. Well, anyways, there's always this balance, and they explain that in this story, between the three, and sometimes one force may become stronger than the others, and the other ones have to put it back in its place. And this just happens to be an instance where the Rot is going out of control, and they need to be knocked back down in order so that they're not taking over the world and killing everything in it. It's all about balance and harmony, baby. But yeah, I really enjoyed this story. I thought it was really good. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was pretty darn cool. If you have not checked out Animal Man, the New 52 Animal Man, I really think you should check it out because, like I said, the story alone, and I never read Animal Man before, but it's pretty cool that he takes on the powers of animals he thinks of or whatever. Next up, I read Superior Spider-Man. This is Volume 6, Goblin Nation. I'm not sure if this is the final volume of Superior Spider-Man, and I don't want to spoil it and say why I think it might be the final volume. Well, anyways, Volume 5, you know, the Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, they're all teaming up, and they want to take over the city. I don't know if it's New York City or what, but they want to take over the city, and the Green Goblin wants to be the man in charge. So, yeah, I mean, they're causing problems with Peter Parker. Of course, it's Doc Ock is in the body of Peter Parker. I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't want to spoil it. Oh, there's that internal fighting with Peter Parker and Doc Ock, and somebody wins in the end. That's why I'm saying there might not be any more books after this. Or there might be. I don't know. See, I love comic books, but I'm not the dude who goes to the comic shop every month. I used to collect comic books on a monthly basis, but they just became so expensive. And I wait for them to come out in trades, and I think by the time they come out in trades, it's like a year has passed, so. But yeah, I think this was a cool story. I enjoyed it. There were some hiccups. There were some slow parts where I was just like, this is just not going that great, and it's kind of slow. But overall, I rated this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I think it was a decent read. The final the finale of the book, you could say, made it worth it. It made me want to say that this was still a 4-star book, even with the slow parts. But yeah, if you're into Spider-Man, and especially the complexity of Superior Spider-Man, I mean, come on now, Otto Octavius inhabiting the body of Peter Parker, and he's Spider-Man, he's the Superior Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, you guys, check it out. I mean, I liked it. Next up, we have Indestructible Hulk, Volume 2. This is Gods and Monster. Of course, if you remember the last Volume 1 of Indestructible Hulk, Hulk has become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Basically, S.H.I.E.L.D. has blackmailed him into doing stuff for them. Well, anyways, this time they travel to Jotunheim. They're trying to collect some of the ore that Thor's hammer is made from. They have some run-ins there with the ice giants, frost giants, whatever you want to call them. I think the artwork is pretty decent. Although the story seemed very fast, and it doesn't seem very long. Like, it seemed like a really short story. The second half had to do with infiltrating weapons from Hydra agents. So it was just kind of okay. It was not that great of a story. It wasn't as good as the first volume. I'd say I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was just okay. It was not that great, not too bad, but yeah, it was okay. Next up we have John Constantine Hellblazer Volume 1, Original Sins. This is a newer edition. As you can tell, it has a newer cover, and it has an extra couple of issues from Swamp Thing. They're the Hellblazer Swamp Thing crossover, which was kind of interesting. I think I had already read them anyways. I read them in a Swamp Thing issue, actually. But it was kind of nice to see this volume in comparison to having seen the Constantine show, which sadly, hashtag Save Constantine did not save that show. But it was still kind of interesting to see where they had gotten the original ideas from, which were a few stories from this first volume. The artwork is kind of nice. I think Dave McKean is the guy who does the covers, and the covers are absolutely amazing. They show the covers in the very back. Well, anyways, this is much, much darker than the Constantine show. So it all takes place in the UK, except for there's like 1 or 2 stories that takes place in the US, and one that takes place in Africa, like for a little bit. But yeah, most of it takes place in the UK, and it's really, really cool. If they could have did all this stuff in the Constantine show, I think that it would have lasted, but I think it had a poor time slot to begin with. But it's a decent read. If you like that show, if you're into the macabre, if you're into supernatural, I would definitely check out Hellblazer. There are many volumes of this series, and I have yet to read the Constantine New 52, which I think that will be on my soon-to-be-read list, because I think this is a pretty cool character. I mean, I've read a couple of these books, and I'm very quick for a... And this book, I want to show you guys some of the covers just so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, these are done by Dave McKean. These are absolutely amazing. They're kind of collaged mixed media covers. They just totally, it's beautiful artwork. But yeah, I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great. I would recommend reading it, but I don't think that it was that great. Next up we have John Constantine Hellblazer Black Flowers. I'm not sure exactly what volume this is. I do know that it is a more recent volume compared to the previous one, which was the first volume. The covers are still kind of neat, but I don't think they're done by Dave McKean anymore. The artwork is kind of rough a little bit. It's kind of cartoony looking at times. But this story seemed to flow a little better. It seems like John Constantine is a little bit more of a more developed character, you could say, by this point in time. Of course, it's still, dark magic, supernatural, macabre, supernatural type stuff. This one I did find, at first I was thinking this was going to be another 3-star book, but by the time I got to the end of it, I decided to change my mind to a 4 out of 5-star rating. The last half of this book made this book that much better. It kind of has to do with, like, the Celts and Druids and all that. I thought it was kind of interesting. I really didn't understand the Celtic that they were using, if it was made up or if it was legit, like Celt or not, I don't know. But it made for an interesting story, like I said. It's a shame that the Constantine series, the TV series, didn't last, because this, I think, would have made for interesting content for a TV show. But they decided to cancel it. So that's that one. Okay, next up, John Constantine, Hellblazer, Phantom Pains. Like I said with the last one, I don't know what volume this is, but this is one of the most newer ones, and I tried to read them in somewhat of an order. Well, anyways, this one has John Constantine's niece in it, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I remember reading the story with the Man. If you're familiar with the Constantine TV show, the Man who, he's like a pedophile creep who, quote unquote, marries these little girls and kills them. Well, that girl, Gemma, she's in this, and I thought that was kind of interesting to see that she's all grown up now. Constantine's married to somebody who I don't know who she is, so she's like a newer character, but she's like around his niece's age, so yeah. He's the guy everybody loves to hate, I guess. I don't know. Well, anyways, this was another really great story. It's got like magic in it, like, Celtic magic, druids, and hidden like dimensions between life and death or whatever. But I thought this was a great story, and this was another one that I rated 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you have not read any Hellblazers yet, and you are into the macabre, the supernatural, or if you love, if you watch the Constantine TV series, I think you should check this book out. I mean, it's a really good series. There's a lot of volumes, and I think I'm going to start checking them out, because I'd like to learn more about John Constantine. He seems pretty cool so far. Okay, and I think this is going to be the final book for this weekly wrap-up. And that book is Nightwing, Volume 5, Setting Sun. This one has a really very, very slow start. I didn't get a chance to read Volume 4. I had to read them out of order because the due dates with the library. And this one has 0 renewals because, of course, someone else wants to read it. And I still have Volume 4. I got Volume 4, like, after I got this. Like, I hate when you get books out of sync, but that's what happens when you borrow books from the library. Well, anyways, this one has a very slow start. It kind of like goes back in time to 0 year or year 1 or whatever, which I know that happened in the Batman books, and apparently it happened in the Nightwing books too. This didn't really get any interesting until it got to the very end. I thought this was just okay. There's the Mad Hatter and Batman are in this, with the introduction of a new, I don't know if she's a villain, anti-villain, but Marionette. She's one of the Mad Hatter's victims. And I think this leads into the Grayson series, which I've seen the comic books for at Barnes & Noble's, but I haven't read them yet. I suppose if they are in trade form, I will probably read them then. But this was a 3 out of 5 star book. It was just okay. If you've read Grayson, then you want to know why that title series came about, you might want to check out this one, because it kind of explains it in the end of this volume. But yeah, that's my weekly wrap-up for this week. I usually say, hey, questions, comments, that kind of stuff, but nobody ever comments Very few people. Like, I've had maybe a few comments. I don't even know why you bother asking if you're going to comment. But I know, if you guys, hopefully you're getting something out of these weekly wrap-ups. I mainly do these just because it's easier for me, instead of doing like hauls and showing you guys what I plan on reading. I think this is better to show you the books I have read and tell you, hey, this is what I thought of them. And if you have the same taste in books, you'll kind of know whether you should bother reading them or not. So yeah. Well, anyways, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and until next time. Later, guys.